And I was thinking, this is the only formation where you can sort of fit Shaqiri as well as the other three in. And it's still got a resemblance of defensive shape to it as well. Because you get the two number sixes in, don't you, this way? And then you get Bobby, who's a workhorse anyway, as the third midfielder almost. And Shaqiri comes into Salah's position and Salah goes up top. I do think we are more flexible. So it is true, Klopp can pull out any formation any time. But I think going into the next set of fixtures, like 7-8 fixtures, I think we'll see a lot more of Salah through the middle as the 9 and Bobby dropping in to play his original position. Because at Hoffenheim, you know, where we scouted him, he was playing very much as a number 10. And the stats prove again that the stats prove that we are scoring more and creating more when he's in that position. So I can definitely see it long term.
Okay, Marty, for you, is it something that's long term? Is it something that Salah wants, that he wants to play more centrally? And is it something there where we're trying to facilitate him or Firmino? Because for me, I wouldn't have Salah through the middle. I'll always have Firmino there playing in a certain way. But for you, is it something you see going forward?
Yeah, I agree with what Grizz said. It seems to be to facilitate Shaqiri more than anything. It's to move that around. I mean, there's one thing you've learned from the front three and when you had Ox, Coutinho front four is that they don't, on paper before the game, when you look at the formation, yeah, you'd have Bobby 10, Shaqiri on the right, Mane left, Salah central, but they interchange through the game anyway. So 1 minute you'll have Bobby in a 10, then he'll make a run in behind it, and one of them will drop into the 10. And so they never actually stay there. They interchange a lot, but more than likely, I mean, it seems to be working to a certain extent at the moment. He'll probably change it as and when whatever game pops up. So, but yeah, it seems like it's there to stay. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, absolutely. Matt, for you, is there something going forward, or is it just we're trying to change things? I'm looking at it thinking we're trying to change for different opposition and trying to surprise them a little bit with the way we set up, because they nearly know more or less what 3 or 4 we're going with up top. It's just a way of trying to confuse them just that little bit.
No, I don't agree with that. I don't think it's to do with the opposition. I think it's to do with who we've got available in our team or who we want in the midfield. I think the midfield dictates how the front three set up. But saying that, I mean, I I agree with Marty. This is not something new. They've been fluid for all last season and for this season as well. Salah sitting in that position up top is pretty much how he got so many goals last season. So we've seen it. It just hasn't been highlighted as much, I don't think.
No, I don't think we've seen it as much. I wouldn't agree that Salah's played quite a bit through the middle. He was majority cutting on from the right. We definitely haven't seen Bobby drop as deeper as he has.
No, that I agree with.
So that's the main change. We had Phil filling in there. Yeah, when Phil played there, then they were very fluid. When Phil was on number 10, then they were very fluid. But it's a different. Phil plays the number 10 very differently from Bobby. Obviously that's a bit obvious, but Bobby is a much more of a workhorse where Klopp would feel that the defensive side wouldn't be undermined as much as Phil playing there. So I think Klopp likes that kind of shit. So that's why I think it's more sort of, I think it will be used far more than it was when Phil was there.
Okay. Going to move on. Matt, I'm going to come to you first on this one. Rob Mulholland asks, how long can our winning streak go while we're playing in a lower gear? What if we don't click into a higher gear to blow teams away and have them fear us again? I know where he's coming from there. Do teams, the fear factor start to drain if we don't click up a gear?
Yeah, it's fair enough. You know what? I mentioned this the other week. I'm more confident going into games now than I was last season when we were blowing teams away, because this may be our gear, but this gear is just a very, very good systematic approach to the game where we are just so confident and we won't concede and we'll score more, and that's where we are at the moment. So even if we don't step up and start pounding a few teams, which, to be fair, if you look at some of the games we've had, some teams have deserved a pound, and we've had some high amounts of shots and not many conceded. But even if we don't, I'm more confident now that we can just steamroll through this next set of fixtures, especially. Yeah,
the next set of fixtures we talked about last week, it looks fairly not easy, but they're definitely all winnable games, and they won't be as tough as, to say, the last 6. Marty, for you, is there a case of, if we not standing still, but if we continue with this way of playing, which has got how many points has it got? Us 30 points. Sorry, it's not doing us too bad. But do you think if we continue with this, teams won't fear us as much as they did, say, 6-8 games ago?
Yeah, you should fear a team that's second in the league who've only conceded 5 goals and haven't been beaten yet. When you've played, was it 3 or 4 out of the top 6? You should fear them. I think Matt made a very good point. It's more to do. It's not that we're not playing at the same level we did last season. I think our finishing's just been a little bit off. There's been a couple of games this season that we've won 1 or 2-0 that we perhaps on another day would have won 3-4, maybe 5. You think about Huddersfield away, we weren't at our electric best, and we still could have had 3 comfortably. You think about some of the other games as well, but we've had seasons. You think about 13-14 under Rodgers last season. Even 16-17 under Klopp's first full season, where we've had this full-on football, full-on attacking football, and we haven't won anything. We haven't won anything. It looks good, but you speak to any of the people that have actually won titles, it's all about the clean sheets. So, for me, if someone had said to me at the beginning of the season, you have to give up some of your attacking football to have one of the best defensive records in the league, I'd have taken it every day of the week. You're not going to win 6-0 every single weekend. Yeah. We've now developed an attitude where if we don't win the game, we now aren't losing the game, which is something that we weren't doing before.
Yeah, Grizz, Marty says there that we have to take a little bit away from our attacking in order to balance it up at the back. Ian made a comment last week with regards to, for all the attacking brilliance that we had last season, many trophies did we win? Are we just finding a balance here that us as supporters need to just, not get on board with, but just being relaxed, outlook about it. We need to. This is just how we are now. We're giving away a little bit attacking wise, but the benefits defensively is helping us overall.
Well, I don't think we are. I don't think we're giving anything attacking-wise in terms of our number of attacks, in terms of how we attack in numbers, a number of attacks. I think it's just, as Marty says, I just think the finishing is not quite there yet, but all stats that we've sort of gone through the last couple of weeks have shown that we're on the same numbers or similar numbers from last year. I actually think people will fear us far more this season, because how many times were we 2-0 up last season? And the commentators always used to say, well, we know other teams think if we can get a goal back here against Liverpool, there's a chance they'd crumble. Well, now teams are going into games thinking if they score, it's near enough over. So we're creating. So we've got the same attack, but yet we've enhanced the attack. Some could say with Shaqiri, the influence of Shaqiri coming into recent weeks. But we've also doubly enhanced our defensive powers and strength. So I think teams will fear us far more going into the latter part of the season, knowing that. Whereas last year or the year before, if they took a lead against us, if Liverpool took a lead, there's always a chance of getting Liverpool back. Just bide your time, and they'll always, fuck up or give you chances. Well, we've cut that out, and so I think we're far, far more dangerous outfit once our front boys start clicking, which will be next week, I reckon, at Watford.
Yeah,
when I'm there.
Yeah, it's I think you're right. I think you're right. I think defensively, we've stepped it up a level or two probably, and the attacking stuff can always come. And if it does, it makes us a different animal altogether, and it's frightening to think what it'd be like if we actually start playing like attacking wise like we did last season, while being defensively this sound. Matt, Kev O'Sullivan, just moving on from that and probably a little tangent into it. Does these Champions League games coming up define our season? Because it looks like we could finish, if we don't sort ourselves out in these next two games in the Champions League, it could be Thursday night football in Europa League, and that could put, although it's still the same amount of games from here to the end of the season, it just puts a different slant on the way we're playing. Do you think that could affect us in a big way?
You don't want to be Thursday, Sunday. You don't want to be doing that. If we go out Champions League, I'd want to just be out. That would be the best outcome for us. But no, I mean, I think we get through the Champions League. I don't think it defines our season though, because we're going to win the league, so it doesn't matter about the Champions League this year. We're winning the league, so we'll have that. That'll be Klopp's first trophy for us.
Okay.
But yeah, we want to keep away from them Thursdays.
Okay. Grace, do you agree with Matt? We under no circumstances do we want to drop into the Europa League, because it makes the season a hell of a lot more difficult.
It does, doesn't it? Even though it doesn't make that much of a difference in terms of days. You play Thursdays and Sundays, where opposed to you played Wednesdays and Saturdays. So mentally, I think it's fatiguing. It really sort of, it just drags the sort of fan base, possibly the players down, maybe mentally. Physically, I don't think there's much difference in terms of the gaps between the hours, or days between the games. But look, I don't know. I don't think we'd go full pelt at the Europa. Do you reckon, Matt? I think if he went to Europa, do you think he'd pick his best teams on a Thursday? I don't think he would. I think it maybe a chance to pick. I think he'd treat it like one of the cups. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. He does. He tends to like it. Europa League, I think. The Europa League in England, I think, is looked down upon, but in Europe, I think they still like it. All we could go off is his previous evidence, and he went for it then, and he played full team then.
I think it's different.
I think it might be different if we go into the new.
If we're going for the title.
Yeah, and that whisper that Grace has is stuck in his throat. He's in an awful state there. But if we go into January and we're in a title challenge, rather than going back a couple of years there where we are hovering around fourth, fifth, sixth, it's a different thing altogether.
It was different then.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Marty,
but I still think he wants it.
Oh, I think for me, he probably would, but I'd love to see him just picking a load of Curtis Jones and his mates on a Thursday night. That's being honest with you.
Or Daniel Sturridge's.
That won't happen. I'll bet you it won't.
He get his 10 goals.
Come here, Marty. The next.
I bet you he won't.
Yeah, I just said that. Is there an echo?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's Chris's belly.
Marty, the Thursday night thing is a horrible thing to think of, so it probably can help define our season if we don't sort out Paris Saint-Germain and Napoli in these next two Champions League games. I'll put it to you differently though. Are you confident we can do it in both of these games?
Yeah.
No, you're not. Mine is the biggest share into that. Look, don't whack him
It won't be easy. It's not going to be easy. We shouldn't be in this position. Obviously that Red Star result was just it's so shit. I'm not even going to try and sugarcoat it. It's a really shit result. It's put us in a difficult position. Can we do it? Yeah, absolutely, but it's going to be difficult. I agree with Matt. If we go out, I don't want to go Europa, and it's not even to do with the extra day. You look at where you got to travel to, fucking Karabag, all this nonsense, and halfway across the world, and this. No, I don't want it. If we don't make it through, I'd rather we just go right. League, focus on that, keep the fitness up, get the weeks rest in between the game, and just completely shut it off. And with regards to how strong the teams they play, it wouldn't surprise me if we did end up Thursday night. We did just get some of the youngsters out there. Then if you get further down the line, you start getting to the quarters or semis, then you look at it and go, it's a good possibility of a trophy. Start playing a bit of a stronger team, but personally, I'd rather go Champions League or bust. Okay.
Chris, one that came in here is about Sadio Mane and the contract. Me and you had a little, I suppose, disagreement on this yesterday, I think it was. For you, Grizz, Mane's contract, I think this is his third season of a 5-season deal, so we're inside 2 years of him being out of contract, and that's usually around the time where you see contracts being signed. For you, does it still happen? Is there any worry there, or do you think, no, this could be the start now of looking elsewhere? You've seen Pulisic and you've seen Dembele and you've seen things like that. Is that just extras to add on to this squad, or is it part of the Mane plan for you?
I mean, there's a lot of Mane talk at the moment, isn't there? It just seems to be a lot of negative Mane talk, and I just don't see any. I just don't really see any clear evidence to be negative about Mane with his performances. Okay, sorry, you can maybe slightly criticize his performances in terms of he hasn't been at his efficient best in terms of, sort of compared to last year. But overall, in terms of his contract situation, I personally think it's nothing to worry about. I just think people are worried because it came out that the talk started, was it about 6 months ago, was it? And that's why, because it's in the public eye, everyone's just sort of eager and sort of anxious and sort of every week expecting a deal to be announced. I mean, we know with the Emre situation and so many other situations that these things are done behind closed doors and they take ages. I mean, they can take up to a year to decide on a contract, all parties. I mean, it's not as simple as sort of the old Barry Fry, get the player into your office and say, right, Phil, how much you want? Do you know what I mean? Those days have long gone. There's so many agents involved and sort of intermediaries and sort of, I'm not worried. I'm not bothered. I think he will stay. I don't think he will go in the summer. I don't think he's got any plans to go in the summer. Beyond that, I think, ultimately it will depend on sort of where we are as a club and how he feels, and you can only go by sort of the current situation. And he feels absolutely happy at the club. He's absolutely comfortable. His mates just joined, Naby Keita. He's very, he's a very emotional. Well, we've seen he's a very emotional player. With his recent sort of performance for his national team. I think Sadio Mane is definitely here for at least another season. That's not me. It's not me, mate. Who is that? Is that Ghost Funk? What is that? Who is that?
Doesn't matter.
If it's not mine. Is it yours, Matt?
I don't have a phone.
Is it yours, Marty?
What, phone?
Yeah.
I think so.
Well, it's a Ghost Funk then. It's not
Ghost
mine.
phone call. Ghost phone call.
I can't even hear a phone.
It's probably mine. Give me update, but on
that Skoda Octavia he sold.
But look, overall, if you're going to ask me, am I comfortable with the situation with Mane? I'm absolutely comfortable. It's not unheard of that people have sort of 2 years left on their contract and they sign a new one at the end. So, at the end of the season, we'll see. We'll know more, I think, and I think it'll be a positive.
Okay.
Yeah, he signs for me as well.
He signs for Matt as well. See how Matt just got to it. No messing. He signs for me. That's it. Matt's finished.
Marty, I've got to give context.
I know, yeah. Context, yeah. Marty, does he sign for you? Or have you got your doubts?
No, I don't think he does. I don't think he does.
I'm with you.
I think some of the talk, not official, but some of the talk is that all three of the front three were offered the same-ish contract. Two are signed, Mane hasn't. And just the stuff that's coming out through people, like James Pearce and whatnot, the same kind of talkers at the club aren't worried. He's still going into his last 2 years. Something just isn't right. And it would be a hell of a coincidence that this
what is
issue
right,
comes
Marty?
up. Will you shut up while I'd say my piece?
No, I'm asking you a question. What isn't right?
I'll tell you what's not right. I'll tell you what's not right in a minute when Marty's finished. Go on, Marty.
Yeah, for me, what do you mean what's not right with what?
No, go on. You just tell me what you think.
No, finish all your piece. Gav's going to take your mantelpiece afterwards. I'm deal with Gav afterwards. Go on.
No, I want to know. Oh, all right. For me, it's just a coincidence that the stuff comes out. The initial rumour came out about the Real Madrid interest with his dad, and everyone kind of shrugged it off and went, whatever. And then, like I said, he's just not committing. And when you would like to think, the club would offer him a deal that he's going to commit to, I might be completely wrong. I hope I am. I really do hope he signs, but something just doesn't. I don't know. It just doesn't sit right. I don't think he signs. Like I said, I hope he does. I really hope he does, but I just don't think he will.
Yeah, I hope he signs as well. Like any Liverpool fan that doesn't hope he signs a new deal is off their rocker. But I hope he signs as well. But for me, going back, if you look at Emre Can, this was let run, and there was all sorts of, he was signing, it was okay. He was fucking looking at houses on the Wirral, and he was doing all sorts of stuff, and it never happened. I can't see FSG getting themselves down to a year left on a deal and not selling.
Nah.
And the thing is, we are now 7 months away from him being a year left on his contract. I think if Sadio Mane doesn't sign a deal...
No, he's got two, hasn't he?
No. This is his third season, am I right?
Yeah, so he's got two more. Two more after this.
Has he got two? No, this will be his third. Oh, sorry, right, okay.
Some fucking maths on you.
Yeah, no, I thought...
Count to 5 here.
I thought he'd be 4 years in. No,
Matt, he takes the piss out of my match.
No, I think if it gets down to probably January and definitely this summer, if the deal isn't signed, I don't think he signs. I think Liverpool look to cash in.
If he doesn't sign by this summer, he's sold.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it's usually...
But he is signing.
Yeah, okay, but it's usually somewhere where, he's into his third year, so that's where it usually kicks in, where they look to extend. And then when it gets around, he'd be entering this, he'd be entering with, 2 years left or whatever it is. If he doesn't get it done by the summer, I think Liverpool look to cash in. And they can't be seen to gamble that sort of asset and lose out again like they did with Emre Can. Because let's be honest, £40 million would have been Emre Can's price in around that.
Gav?
Yeah.
So I agree with you at the end, but I don't agree with you with the overall context of what you're saying, comparing it to the Emre Can situation. Mm-hmm. The Emre Can situation was different in terms of he was not guaranteed to be a starter. Mane is. Emre Can was a young player, sort of needed to play every week. He had the captain ahead of him and rumours of sort of Naby Keita joining, etc., etc. And his head was turned by Juve.
Go on, Chris,
and also it was the last year of his contract. Now, as Matt's very simply pointed out to you, that in the summer there will be 2 more years remaining.
Yeah.
Now, I asked you the same question I asked Marty. What aspect of Mane is worrying you lot? Now, if it's on the pitch, that's understandable. But
no, on the pitch, I don't think he's been,
Let me finish, and then you can answer.
I thought you asked the question.
Because that's how it usually goes. All right.
You ask a question, then I try to answer, then you ask another one.
That's about right.
I want to have it right.
So Mane on the pitch, we can criticise in terms of if we don't see the effort being put in, or if we can see he's not sort of really involved with the team and whatnot, right? Off the pitch, there is no indication, no sign of him talking about other clubs, unhappy about his time at Liverpool. Like Emre was flirting with Juve openly, right? And Juve were talking about him openly as well. Mane has come out again and again and said he's very happy. He's also, I can 100% confirm to his friends off the pitch, said, I'm totally happy at Liverpool and my intention is to stay here. He's also just sold the club to his best mate, Naby Keita, right? He sold
I
this
vision of Liverpool. On Auto Trader. I thought you got the inside line on it. Go on.
They've just gone summer. He sold the club to his best mate, Naby Keita. He's in no way going to sort of just ditch his mate and say, look, yeah, I sold you Liverpool, but you know what? Madrid is more appealing to me. It's not. Madrid is not appealing to him. He's a very, very humble man off the pitch. In terms of contracts, how many times do we hear about sort of players signing contracts, players' contracts renewal 2.5 years into their 5-year deal? It's just because it's come out and people are panicking, and that's the state of Twitter.
Yeah, but I think that the problem is that if you look at Firmino, probably was with us, you know, a longer time than Mane, obviously, and he signs. Salah's only there a season, and he signs a new one, and it was all about these three being offered a deal, and I don't know whether it was offered to him or whether it was put on the table and it's being put off the table. I don't know, but my only worry is in today's game. Like Matt said there, if he gets to the summer, if we kick off next season and Sadio Mane hasn't signed a deal, you'd have to be really, really worried about it.
Yes, and that's the point I'm trying to make. Yes, that's the point where you start worrying. To worry now, it's just, you know, it's just foolish in my opinion. You're just worried about for nothing. You're just making a worry for yourself. You're right, and as Matt says, come the start of the season and he hasn't signed that contract, then FSG won't be held to ransom like they were with the Emre Can situation, and will look to sell. But that's
how much do you reckon we get for them?
Yeah, a lot of people have asked there, how much would you reckon you get for Mane if he was, say, for Amos, sold?
Well, go on, let's go around. I don't know. Go on.
If it's Real Madrid, I reckon we'll get 90.
I would have said 70 to 80 million. Marty?
80, 85.
80, 85. Grizz?
Yeah, if we're selling him 2 years to go on his contract, 90 million.
Yeah, okay.
Easy.
Well, look, hopefully
it doesn't matter.
Hopefully it doesn't happen because he's signing. He's signing. Emre Can has given him a loan of his pen that he signed with, and all is good. Isn't that right, man?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
If Mane leaves in the summer, right?
Yeah.
If Mane leaves in the summer,
I love the dramatic pause.
I'll deactivate Twitter.
If Mane leaves next summer, you will deactivate Twitter. Can you not just give me and Steve your account again?
No, give it to me.
No. I'll do better. I'll give it to Matt.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Well, that's the end. I fucking hope they sell him for £8.
I hope he goes.
Listen, lads. On to one more. It was a question there earlier, and I've lost the Twitter handle, but the lad will know who he is. It was about Klein and Gomez seem to be sharing this right back berth at the minute. I think partially down to Trent being a little bit off form. Can't be too harsh on 19, 20 years of age. Gomez has been outstanding as centre half, but covered well at right back. But I think most people prefer him in that centre half position. But with all that happening, Nathaniel Klein, even though there's been openings for chances for him, let's be honest, hasn't really happened for him. Does anybody see Nathaniel Klein getting his way back into this, you know, first of all, the 18-man squad, and secondly, into the side? Marty's just saying no, so that's the end of him. Matt, do you see any comeback for Nathaniel Klein, or is it a case of squad has just gone beyond them and the style has gone beyond them and it's just very hard for him to claw it back?
It depends what day our game is, because as you know, Kleiny does balloons on a Saturday night. So if we play on the Sunday, he won't get in.
Yeah.
I think we're past him. I think his head's gone out of it. I'm guessing there, completely guessing, but for someone to be frozen out like that, who is generally a capable footballer, he's not pulling his weight in training for me. That's how I'm looking at it. Because he's been absolutely bombed. It's not just like he's having a go and he's off form. He's just been bombed, and that's it. So something else is going on there for us. I think also both Gomez and Trent are probably better than him.
Yeah. For the system we play.
Yeah, exactly. Or just footballers in general. And you've got to look to the future of the club as well. These two are developing when it looks like he's on his decline. So for the future of the club, it's better to play them two.
Decline. I like that one.
Okay. Oh, he's picked up on something there.
Oh, I didn't even get onto that.
No. That's because you're still
he's quick tonight, isn't he? Yeah. That whisper's giving him some fucking brain.
I tell you.
Energy.
That family-sized whisper fucking went down well. Listen, no.
I still got a wrapper. I didn't have a fucking family-sized one. It's a normal one before you slandered me.
It was a 4-pack though, not for resale and individually. Liverpool, Chris says he thinks Klein is gone, unfortunately. At Keegan_ZN said Klein is gone. Mick just waves at us. How are you, Mick? Keegan again then reckons we have too much cover at right back. Then Mick tells us he's gone, in his opinion as well. Kev O'Sullivan reckons Klein should be looking to leave along with Origi and Lallana and even Matip. I want to just touch on Origi. And I'm just doing it because I've just seen his name pop up there. This wasn't a question that came in.
He's gone.
Oh yeah. I had this thought the other day. Can anyone see a forward player coming in here in January? And I'll tell you why I'm asking. There's all this business with Sturridge, which we're not going to get into, but it's well documented. You have Origi that looks like he's on the way out. There's a couple of clubs circling him, and Liverpool are actively trying to get rid of him. And then you have Solanke, who last season was their backup. Origi's out on loan, and then Solanke's not getting a look in. Do you think there might be room for an attacking kind of centre forward that we could bring in January, maybe, or maybe even the summer? Marty, I'll come to you first. Is it a possibility?
I certainly think, yeah. I don't think we will. I don't think we do any business in January. I think the only thing that we could do is if our hands forced a little bit with Pulisic, I think we might enter that bidding war. But unless something happens with Sturridge, I think he sticks. I personally think we could do with someone to cover on the left. I think we're quite reliant on Mane on that left. If he's injured, I don't really know who we'd put in there. I think again you could look at the 10, but again, is Shaqiri made a good point for that role? Probably. So I think left wing, maybe a backup striker, but personally I think Klopp sticks, and we look at addressing it in the summer, in my opinion. Okay,
Matt, for you, does it all hint? Because Origi and Solanke, for me, Origi's just not up to it, and Solanke's just disappeared. And like Marty said, it could come down to the Sturridge situation. If that goes badly for Sturridge and a ban is imposed, as what's being talked about, is it something that Klopp might have to look at in the January? He's probably looking at it for the summer, and he might have to fast track this into January and see what he can do.
Yeah, I mean, if he's got a player available, I don't think it's down to him. Whether it's January or summer, Michael Edwards will try and get it done when he can get it done. If he needs the player, then yeah, that changes things. So Sturridge does get his ban. The other two just aren't anywhere near the level we need to be playing at. So I don't want to really include them in the squad. So the only other option is looking in the under-23s or going out and buying. I reckon we buy someone in January. I would like a wide, fast forward, a young one. Just because if one of our two are off, the only option you've got is to change the setup. Rather than just, if someone's having a bad day and trying someone else's legs, you've got to change the setup to swap one of them out, which is an issue. So I would like someone similar to them who you could bring in, like a Pulisic or Dembele or whatever. But again, you look at them and they're going to be on 70-80 million pound price tags. You're gonna have to start them. So you've got a headache there straight away. But I mean, from a fan's point of view, it's great. But from a manager, that can cause a lot of issues.
Okay, Grizz, people are saying here, you have Ryan Brewster that's going to be looking to get some game time. Supposedly he's being promised some sort of game time, I think, when he comes back from injury. You have people saying if you do buy a striker, it enables you to drop Firmino back if they want to, because that's the way we've tried to play a little bit. For you, anything in January with regards to striker? I'm not asking you, have you heard anything off your mate that sells cars? What I'm saying is, have you in your own mind, has it twigged with you that we might need to do something here?
I don't think we do anything in terms of a striker. Again, the Sturridge situation may change that. Does it really change that though? Origi's definitely off. As long as someone just gives us about 12-13 million, Origi's off even. The Sturridge situation, who was supposed to be our backup striker for the season, I don't know what kind of ban does he get. I mean, does anybody know? Has there been any numbers thrown? Well,
if you go on the Joey Barton one, I think Joey Barton ended up getting 18 months. So
I don't think he'll be as severe as that.
Well, if it's not as severe and he gets a year ban, he's out of contract at Liverpool when it's over. If he gets a 6-month ban, he comes back. If he gets 6 months,
if
he gets 6 months, he comes back with 2 months left on his Liverpool deal.
look, Sturridge is in a precarious situation in terms of his Liverpool career. I mean, he's been in that precarious situation forever, it seems. But this could be taken out. Yeah, this could be taken out of his hands and Klopp's hands now. So I still don't think. I mean, this is why we go back to our initial question. The first question was with regards to Salah playing through the middle. I honestly think that's his position. Now, people got to get used to it. Loads of clamour for him to go out wide again, blah, blah, blah. But I think it's going to be a sort of horses for courses type formations in terms of rotating Bobby and Salah as the number 9. I don't see us getting. I don't rate Dominic Slanky myself at all, and I think you guys know that. But apparently the team, the coaching staff at Liverpool do rate him and think very highly of him, along with, as you said, Ryan Brewster. Now, does Ryan Brewster, off a long injury, a young player, go straight into the first team squad? Does Klopp work like that? Nah. Even though he's talented and he loves him to bits, he thinks fucking highly of him, right? But I can't really see him to be relied upon. I still don't think we're going to go for a striker saying all that. So, but I agree with Matt and Marty as well to an extent where, for me, the blatant apparent weakness in the squad is that left wing. I mean, we're very well covered in all positions in terms of one or two players covering that position, except for the Mane role, except for the Mane, and the two players that we've linked with are coincidentally can play off the left, and majority of the time do play off the left. So, look, again, it's anybody that says sitting in November, oh, we're definitely not buying in January, is talking utter tosh.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that. You can't just sit in January and say we're not buying anyone, end of. It doesn't work like that. It all happens. It all depends on players become available. If there's an opportunity, Klopp and Edwards will 100% go for it in January. That's 100% my belief. It all depends on other clubs, of course. It's the equation, isn't it? You have to have someone willing to sell or loan, as the case may be. And sometimes, I think he'll be more looking to pre-contracts in January. But if an opportunity comes, I do think we definitely go for someone.
Okay. Mick there says Barton's ban was after numerous warnings, apparently.
Yeah.
Kev O'Sullivan's asking about Naby on the left. Someone's asking about Manny on the right. But just a couple of names have been coming along here on the comments, and I have to, because they're commenting, I have to ask them, right? So I'm going to put a couple of names. Just tell me yes or no if you think any of them might happen, right? Matt, I'll start with you. We have Dembele, we've Pulisic, we've Money in of Bilbao. And who else come up there? I think that was it. We go with that. We go with Money in, Pulisic, Dembele. Can you see any of them happening, whether it be January or the summer, Matt? Yes or no?
What's that first noise you made?
Which?
Munayin. Spanish player.
All right, cool. Yeah, we get one. Well, out of them three, yeah, 100%.
You're not giving me a name, no?
Does he ever?
Pulisic,
okay. Marty, Munayin, or Munayin, as he's known, or whatever he's known to his mates. Pulisic,
I've got him
Dembele.
questioning himself now.
Is that a Bilbao lad?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we get Pulisic.
Yeah, okay. Grizz, I'm not saying them all again. You know the names. What do you reckon?
Nah, Minayin, I don't know. That's an old link resurfaced for no reason, apparently. For no apparent reason. I
liked him. I liked him 5 or 6 years ago. I thought he was unreal.
Yeah, but he's had a very bad injury. Dare I say it's very similar to one what Ox had. So fingers crossed he's not been the same player ever again. We'll probably come to Ox later on. But in terms of winger Dembele, Pulisic, I think we get one of them. I prefer Dembele.
Yeah, no, Dembele is your favourite, isn't he?
I love him.
Okay.
I love him more than Matt. That's saying something.
No, you don't.
Matthew!
Okay. Sorry, one more name. Rabiot from PSG on a pre-contract is the last one that come in. Done. That's all I need to know. We don't need to answer the two lads. Once Matt says done, it's done. That's how it works. Who else have we got? What else have we got? Somebody asked about Tom Cruise's relationship with Nicole Kidman. I don't know where that came from. I don't know what happened with them. Did something happen?
That's Marty's section.
Marty.
Who?
A showbiz representative of the Fatback Four. What's going on with
Yeah,
Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman?
In that pop industry, Vanilla Ice, you must have contacts in it. What's going on there?
Yeah, they both signed in the summer. Yeah,
All right,
free contract.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, no problem. What else I want to speak about? I want to touch on this thing with your man Scudamore, right? There's a lot. No, Grizz, listen. If it gives us a chance that you don't give me an 11-minute answer, I'm all for it, right? This thing about 5 million payoffs and you know golden handshakes and you know all given the club giving this. From my understanding, the club aren't giving the money. I think it's coming from a central fund, and they voted on whether it comes out of the central fund or not. But Matt, is it a bit ridiculous for a fella to be paid that much over so many years and to give him 5 million bonus leaving, or is it just it's more in the public eye than other sectors will be, and this happens all the time?
It's just FSG, isn't it? It's just absolute robbing cunts.
Yeah. Yeah. Is that it?
No, I don't think he should have got it. And listen, he's made every single one of our clubs a hell of a lot richer. That is unmistakable. But he's been paid very handsomely along the way to do that. So I think this is a load of shite. He should be putting that towards a charity straight away. You say, thank you, pick a charity, or grassroots or something. The amount of 3G pitches you can build. I mean, I used to coach the under-15s in West Kirby.
No, you don't.
And there's some of the pitches we had to play on, and the amount of days in the winter where we had to cancel a game because the pitch was unplayable. It's ridiculous. We had 7 weeks where we couldn't get a game because of the pitches.
Yeah.
To pour up a few 3G pitches for people to play on. It's for the greater good of the league. If you think in 20 years down the line. But yeah, he shouldn't take that. He's a bellwith.
Like something along the lines, Matt, where they go to, you know, they pick. I don't know how much a 4G pitch costs. For argument's sake, it costs
$100,000.
$100,000, right? So you get 50 of them for 5 million. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if he was to say, or the FA or whoever, the Premier League, whoever he's working for, if they go and say, right, we've picked 50 locations around the country where we're going to build these 50 4G pitches, and we're going to put a plaque up outside them saying, donated by Scudamore. Would that not make his legacy a lot better, and it'd be a lot better on the public relations front, I suppose?
It's criminal that has happened at the moment when grassroots football is so publicly bad. If you know what I mean, everyone knows how bad it is, and council pitches, and we've had council funding cut by the government, so they've pulled it out of things like football pitches. So at this time, it'll just he doesn't need the money. It's just greed. It's just greed. Okay,
Grizz doesn't want to talk about this. He's very upset by it, so I'll leave him alone for this one. Marty, for you, is there any sense in what they're doing here, or is it just like is this company practice all around the world? But this is just, you know, seen by so many people online and so many football people that enough of them get upset about it, and it takes off. For me personally, I'm with Matt. You know, you take it, you say thanks, you give it to a charity, and everyone is happy, and it makes a lasting effect on football players, especially grassroots players. Is it for you, Marty, a ridiculous decision, A, and B, the way they're doing it is ridiculous as well?
Yeah, I can't get behind this at all. Matt summed a few points up really well. He has made a lot of the clubs richer. You've seen teams like Palace, etc., spending extortionate amounts of money. Does he deserve some recognition for what he's done? Yeah, absolutely. But it just stinks of putting money in a card and sending someone off. You can't just go, you've done really well, here's 5 million. And I think the thing that's really pissing a lot of people off is he's not actually leaving the Premier League. He's taken up another position as a consultant, a consultant or something. So he's not even actually leaving. For me, I think you look at it and you see, a lot of the clubs. We see it a lot with Liverpool. Fans, supporters coming from near and far to give to the food banks and, like Matt said, the grassroots, and and they're going to give 250 grand a piece to this guy that has earned £2.5 million a year, and he's been with the Premier League nearly 20 years.
Yeah, I think his base salary was somewhere around 900,000, but then when you added in bonuses and different things, it came up between 2 and 3 million. Yeah.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's just greed. It's just greed. You know, like I said, when it first broke out that it was happening, you know, apparently the guy said, "Oh, you know, I'm really shocked. I didn't know this was happening." And he thought, "Okay, you know, fair enough." And then he went, "I'm going to accept it." No, he's just a bell. You know, you give it out to the clubs individually. Like I said, build grassroots. You know, sort out the facilities, the pitches, give it to the food banks. You know, do anything. Don't keep it. Even if he gave half of it away, but he's keeping the lot. It's just, I can't get behind it. But I'm with Grizz on this one. It just winds me up even talking about it, to be honest.
Okay. No, I just thought we'd touch on it because it's been the story of the week, really. Lads, anything else you would like to speak about? Grizz, anything else you'd like to speak about? Apart from that,
Okay.
here.
Oh.
No, I think there's someone asking about Ox and sort of how much we've missed him, and you know, is he?
I stick by my earlier claim that Ox will be back this season.
Yeah, he looked. You know, there was videos of him there the other day, and he seems to be, you know, working well. But there's a lot from, you know, kicking balls with your left foot to running and turning and chasing and passing. There's a lot more work to go into it. I'm not too pushed if he's back before the end of the season, Matt. I think we've all kind of made our bed with and made peace with the fact that he's out for the season. And if it means that he's out for the season and he gets a full pre-season under his belt for next season, I think that's probably the safer route to go. Would you agree with that?
Where was he? He was on Instagram yesterday.
Yeah,
I think it was.
Yeah,
and he said he wanted to get a few games at the end of the season. He just, even though he won't be up to speed, it will just help him with the pre-season. So if he gets comes in for 3 or 4, even just late appearances, you know, when we're 4-0 up against United or something, to bring him on. Yeah, I think he'll be back earlier. I really do. I think what Klopp's done is good management. He's taken all the pressure off him. Get back when you're ready. I think he'll be back before. He's a strong young lad. Okay. He's a fit lad. He'll recover quickly. Great.
Marty, Keegan here says, I think it was Keegan said it. He's saying that Ox won't be the same when he comes back. It's happened to a lot of players that have had this injury that they come back and they're kind of a half a yard off it, or you know, they don't have that burst that they used to have. Are you confident enough with the right rehabilitation? I suppose he can come back and be as fit and as strong as he was before.
Cruciate ligament, roll of a dice. Really, it depends. You know, I'm not going to pretend I'm an expert in this. I don't know. I don't think
I'm an expert.
I am as well.
So am I.
I've actually done both cruciates on both knees, so I can say after I had my left one, I went back to playing rugby. You're an
unfortunate bastard. That's what you can say.
No, I done the left one when I was younger, and I went back and played rugby, football, everything, and I've never had a single bother about it. And I was just as fast. I didn't lose any speed.
Were you fast to start with?
I was rapid, mate.
Yeah.
I got faster after my knee.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I done my right one, and that's it. I've never been able to play sport. I've never been able to sprint a full pelt again. And I think they were exact same injury. It is just luck of the draw.
Okay. Yeah, was it a posterior cruciate ligament? Is that what he's got?
Is it?
I don't know.
Oh, I done the ACL.
Not sure.
Okay.
No, I think it's a PCL.
I mean, was a uni.
I hope so. I hope he comes back because I don't think we realised how influential he was until he wasn't playing. You know, you could see he was brilliant on the pitch, but we've missed him so much. So I really pray he comes back fit, healthy, the same Ox we had before, and he can tear it up because he was really starting to hit some form.
Yeah, and Perry Edwards gets some good photos up on Instagram when she's happy with him, doesn't she? I like her. I like the Liverpool.
Do you like her as much as do you like her as much as you like Gillian Anderson back in the day, though?
Don't get me excited here. No, I do like all the new Liverpool Instagram girls we've got going on.
Yeah,
Fabinho's misses.
But where would you rank with Gillian Anderson? Is what I'm asking. That's what the people want to know.
No, but that's not fair because they're young bucks. She's just like an old vintage.
Yeah, but back in the day, she was young enough.
Yeah, but yeah,
that's like
I don't know. I don't think any of them could pull off the long trench coat.
And the turtleneck on her and the long trench coat.
Yeah, no one can pull off the trench coat like Jill.
Nobody can. Gillian is fucking out on her own when it comes to the trench coat.
Karen Waterman can.
Wenger tried, but didn't work for him. So, what else have we got before we finish? Oh, I want to touch on.
Can I give my opinion on Ox, please?
Go on then. Go on. Now, just to let you know, we've only 10 minutes left, and I want to get some more questions
no
in.
problem. I'm only going to be 3 minutes.
Okay, go on. I got my smoke.
Maximum. But no. Joking aside, look, I really, really hope Ox comes back the same Ox we had. People at the club said it was the worst injury you could possibly get as a young footballer. What he's got, it was such a bad injury. As from a
Was it the same as Fakir's?
No, worse. This was worse, man. But they're saying that, look.
I think it was a posterior, wasn't it? Not cruciate.
No, it was cruciate, man.
Look, yeah, but his posterior.
Look, I don't give a
We're
fuck
just
what
guessing.
wrong is with his knee, right?
Yeah.
All I want to know is, Grizz, do you think he can come back as fit and strong as he was before? Or are we dealing with a fucking player that's going to come back and he's lost 10, 15% and he won't be able to keep up with this team?
Yeah.
He'll be back by Christmas.
On a serious one, I'm not going to pretend to know the ins and outs of the sports science world, right? I just about know my chicken and chips. But listen, what I'm going to say to you is I just hope and pray he is, because listening and reading people's opinions who know about this kind of stuff, they're very, very dubious. Not my opinion, not my viewpoint, but people who are knowledgeable, like proper done studies in the medical world, have their doubts about whether he will have the same type of power, pace, strength, that he had before. Just by hearing that, I wouldn't want to remotely risk his long-term career for a couple of games this season. As much as he will be dying to, I really, really would think long-term, and I think Klopp and the sports physio team will think long-term. And, unless it's an absolute emergency, and if it's like sort of, a nothing game against United, as Matt says, give him a couple of 20 minutes, a few 20 minutes near the end of the season. But I would really just focus and totally concentrate on pre-season and getting him back for next season. Fingers crossed, the old Ox that we really, really miss. We miss him more than Buvac, by the way.
Okay, I'm not getting into Buvac.
He looks really. I thought he looked really lean as well.
Yeah, well, he seems to have been walking since the injury, like fairly soon after the injury. He seemed to get back to some sort of rehabilitation.
Do you know what, Marty? He's been doing pure cardio, and that's different. Have you not? His legs look really.
I thought you were going to say in your experience and cardio in the same sentence.
I was going to say that.
Yeah.
You read my mind.
and then you fucking stopped.
I stopped myself, but he's been doing cardio non-stop, so the leanness is there. Is in terms of body fat, blah blah blah, is like near enough as good as Matt. But sort of in terms of the power and the strength, and did you notice on that Instagram that that video that's going about where he says whether someone asks him to let's have a crossbar challenge, and he says I can't kick with my right foot yet.
Yeah.
Now that's a massive indication. We're in December near enough now coming up to, and he can't kick with his right foot. Now think about it. You're talking about playing in the most frenetic league in the world, and you can't kick with your right foot in December. No chance he comes back this season.
Okay.
November.
For me, if we're getting towards the end of the season and we're still in a title challenge, or we're going for the Champions League again, I don't think you'll see Oxlade-Chamberlain. I think you might get him in a couple of games if they're kind of dead rubbers near the end of the season. You may do.
Play him in Europa.
But play him in Europa. Matt reckons he's back by Christmas. He's playing against Newcastle on the 26th of December at Anfield, according to Matt. Couple of last things, right? Keegan says again it's 95% psychological for Ox if he wants to be the same player. There may be a point in that. A lot of players go on their confidence in their body, I suppose. If he can get it completely out of his head as to what the injury was and plays the way he wants to play, you never know, he could come back as strong, and we all hope he does. I just want the yes or no on this, right? Because it's being mentioned. It's all because of Oxlade-Chamberlain and his knee and everything else. But Fekir, yes or no? And I mean any time. This Christmas, the New Year, summer, anything. Fekir, yes or no? Matt?
No.
Good. Marty?
No.
Grizz?
One word answer or context?
One word answer.
Yes.
Yes, I'm going to go yes with you as well. And I think it happens in January. Last one. Holland seem to be good again, don't they? Have you watched Holland?
So, do you know, I like Holland because when I used to play pro, right, back in 2013.
Pro Evo.
Yeah, Pro Evo, right? I used to love being Holland, but more so classic Holland. Oh wow! Whoops! There goes my kiddy's iPad. But yeah, the classic Holland was what a team. The classic Holland was. You had Ruud Gullit, Van Basten, Rijkaard.
That's your nickname, Ruud Gullit.
I mean, that team was phenomenal. A bit weak at the back, but you go all out attack with that team. Johan Nayskins, my God, what a player. Ronald Koeman at the back, he's a red. Everyone knows he's a red. What a team that you had Van der Sar in goal. So I'm happy to see Holland back. It feels good when Holland are back.
Okay. Yeah, do you look like they've got their shit together again, because they were awful for a good couple of years and just all over the place. Ryan Babel is still doing the business for them. Pre-contract in January.
I like him. Great player.
Yeah.
Could do a job for us.
Yeah.
Do a job for us.
Marty, I just thought I'd touch on Holland because, like Grace said, they're one of the I suppose for neutrals, they were always a good side to look at.
Teams.
And when they went to championships, the the colour and all orange in the stadium, it looked amazing. But it's good to see them back. I don't know if they're winning games. I don't know if they've qualified for anything or they've won anything, because this fucking Nations League is just, I think an 8-year-old made this up in his bedroom one fucking weekend or something. It's all over the shop. But it's good to see them back, Marty, isn't it? Some good players there, and it's a country that should be at the top of international football all the time.
Yeah, it's criminal when they weren't qualifying for major tournaments. The players were always there, but they kept playing people, like Schneider, who was like, obviously got Babel, who's, like 200, but they kept messing about with the managers, didn't they? And, Koeman's, now he ain't at Everton, he's a good manager. So he seems to be getting a tune out of them. They got young players coming through. Obviously, when you've got people like Van Dijk, it's always going to help because he's the best player in the world. So, yeah, it's good to see him back. Hopefully they get to the next, Euros next, isn't it? So hopefully they get in there and they get back to the top, because I agree. I like Holland. I think they're a good team. Always had good teams. So, yeah, good to see him back.
Good stuff. Right, we're going to leave it there. That is 58 minutes, and Matt has to go to bed because he has to get himself ready for next weekend. That's how he works. Grizz, thanks a million. Yeah, that iPad lasted 57 minutes, which is a new record. Matt, thanks a million. Marty, thanks a million. And just like to say thanks to LFC Online, who this is an association with. Check them out online for all your Liverpool news and views. Thanks to Laboom for our intro music. Look out for the club. Will be back on Tuesday or Wednesday, I think. Wednesday. And we'll be back reviewing the matches, and the cocktail will be back on Friday. And we'll be back next Sunday, hopefully, talking about another win. That's been the Fatback 4. Have a good rest of your Sunday evening and have a good week, and we'll talk to you soon. Over and out.